Hello again, Gareth Hall here again from Lifestyle, and with part 2 of our Lifestyle Surviving Isolation series. Introducing again David Lowe from Lowe Wines, Nathaniel, who's the head chef at the Zin House, and for anybody that's been to Lowe Wines or the Zin House, you'll know that it's all on the same property, very closely connected. And Nathaniel's going to spend some time with us today telling us about bread, the difference between sourdough, how it's made, and normal bread, and then he's going to show us how to make a wonderful pasta. So I'm going to pass to Nathaniel.
Yeah, so I overheard you guys talking about the sourdough over there, so I thought I'd bake some of our sourdough that we bake here at the Zin House. Thought you guys looked a bit hungry. So sourdough. So basically sourdough it's a type of bread that you make a starter out of, or a culture. So basically normal bread you use yeast. In this bread we don't use any yeast, we make a culture, and that sort of mimics a yeast, so to speak. So basically a starter is, so what I do here at the Zin House is you get yogurt, mix it in with some water, keep it in a warm spot, preferably next to like a fruit bowl, because there's like bacteria in fruit that sort of reacts with the starter and actually helps it come alive and makes it all lively. And basically then you just add a starter into a basic bread mix, which is just flour and water. You put a bit of sugar in there as well, and then you use that instead of using yeast.
Well, so that's the important difference between normal yeast we talked about in the last series. Normal yeast will make wine, alcohol and carbon dioxide. In bread, the carbon dioxide rises because the yeast converts the sugar that's in the dough and produces a little bit of alcohol but lots of gas. That's why it rises. That's your conventional bread when it rises with the action of yeast. So sourdough is something more. When people talk about a starter, or they keep this starter, they keep from their grandmothers and mothers from middle of Naples or somewhere, all of that stuff is really about a culture that's not just yeast, it's lactic acid bacteria. Bacillus, lactobacillus bacteria means it converts lactic acid converts sugar and dextrose to lactic acid. So with sourdough, the reason sour means it's got some acidity. That's what that comes from. It's not just the yeast, because the yeast is working on one hand to rise it and transform the bread dough, but the lactic acid bacteria is changing it to have a slight acidity taste. So sourdough, and if you do it very slowly, you get this incredible density that comes with it. So that great sourdoughs that people talk about comes from yeast and bacteria working with the dough. Gives you a different taste altogether. That's why people chase the great sourdoughs, and if they get a great culture, they hang on to it. And if you get you don't go to someone who makes great sourdough and say, "Can I borrow your culture?" They won't do that. It's like your intellectual property. They're not going to touch your intellectual property. So it's very important. People guard that with their lives, because the great bread makers of the world guard their culture, which you've talked about making it yourself.
Yeah.
And it takes a few days, doesn't it? To make
Basically a few days, and like depending on the temperature or the climate you're in, but generally you want it at room temp, and it could take up to probably about 5 days. You know it's ready when you start seeing bubbles start growing from the top of it, and that's when you know it's ready to go and it's alive.
Look, there's one thing that you might be able to put to rest for me, because my wife's gluten intolerant.
Yep.
She's not celiac, she's gluten intolerant.
Yep.
And she's been told that she can have certain sourdoughs, but from what you said, it's just a bread mix with a different...
Yeah, well, it just depends what flour you're using in your bread mix.
Oh,
then.
I see.
Yeah, so you can get gluten-free flour,
Right.
Corn flours, wheat-free flours. You just incorporate.
So it has to be a gluten-free sourdough. It
Yeah.
can't, yeah. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do today is show you a simple dish that we can do at home. So basically, you can make a pasta dish out of like anything really. So basically I've got onion, garlic, chili, some parsley, cheese. That's it really. So I'm just going to show you simply how easy and how quick it is to do at home.
Can we use the rubbish pasta you get in plastic bags out of the supermarkets?
Well, now everyone's got a lot of time on their hands. So making pasta at home is quite simple to do at home. All you need is flour, egg, and salt. That's it. So basically a simple recipe to follow at home.
And wine.
Oh, yeah.
While you're
Vital.
making it, right?
Simple recipe to follow at home is for every 100 grams of flour you use 1 egg. And then salt, obviously, for seasoning. You just mix it till it forms a dough, let it rest, then roll it out. You don't even need a pasta machine really to roll it out. You can roll it out with a rolling pin, cut it to whatever shape you want with a knife, and then yeah, just boil it. So basically I've got some fettuccine that we do here at the Zin. And what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna sweat off some onion, some garlic, some chili.
Explain sweat.
Sweat, so you're basically cooking, softening the onion and garlic without burning or frying. So you don't want to be deep frying or getting it too hot, because otherwise then the onion and garlic will burn and it'll taste like crap. So start sweatening that down. I've used quite a lot of olive oil, because what we're going to do after is turn that olive oil into an emulsion with some of the cooking liquid. And so then we throw in a little bit of cheese. So now we're pretty much making a sauce.
So Nathaniel, once again, most of the ingredients you use at the Zin House are organic, right?
Yes, that's right. So we're quite lucky here actually that we don't have to rely on a lot of supplies to get what we need. So we have a wonderful garden, which is basically like a supermarket. I still walk around it every day and find something new. Okay guys, so once we start getting that all nicely heated up, we just drop in the pasta. Now I've just boiled this for like 3 minutes, blanched it off. And now we're just going to heat it up now in this sauce.
So do we get to eat this afterwards?
Yes.
Like those cooking shows on television.
Okay, so now I've reserved some of the cooking liquid from the pasta, and this is what's going to help make an emulsion. Now this stuff's like liquid gold. It's like a stock without really doing anything. So it's flavoured with the pasta, it's nice and salty. And so basically all the goodness from the bottom of the pan lifts up, which is also flavour. And so that just forms a simple sauce then. And then just to finish it off, we've got some beautiful parsley from the garden. We'll just throw that in. Give it a season, of course, so it's got some salt. Cracked pepper.
You're not weighing anything in Sourdough.
No, cooking at home is all about feeling and all about, you know, personal taste. Yeah, so you know, if you want to add something else, you want some more chili, add some more chili. Like cooking like this, you don't need a recipe. And there we have it. A simple pasta dish anyone can do at home. Finish it with a bit of lemon juice. Got some beautiful greens from the garden. A little bit more parmesan. And there we have it.
Tell me about the cheese you need for it. Does it really matter?
Not really. Like parmesan's always good. Pecorino. You need quite a bitey hard cheese just for that flavour.
Smells delicious. The thing I like about that is it was really quick, because I love cooking, as long as it only takes about 15
Yeah, that's
minutes.
right.
It's about fun. Yeah.
Right, so next question is about wine and food matching. And because pasta is a bit more doughy and a bit more concentrated than, say, aperitif foods like oysters or whatever, we're going to go a bit more substantial. And rosé is a really good wine to have with this. It's the hottest wine market in the world is rosé. There's more people drinking rosé as a growth than any other wine in the moment. They drink more rosé than white wine in France, for example. Rosé is somewhere between white and red, so it doesn't have the tannin and concentration of red, but it doesn't have the lightness and acidity of white wine. So why we like pasta with rosé, of course, is the colour is so impressive. And you look at the colour of the rosé, the pink, the salmon pink colour, the green, and you see the olive oil and the parmesan, the most amazing exotic looking colours, a great frame. This is from Grenache. And Grenache is a pretty good variety to make rosé because it's quite light-bodied anyway. It has an incredible strawberry fragrance to it. So with the deal about food and wine matching, and we're going to go to a third one and talk to you about food and wine matching. But here, we don't want to dominate with the food, we want the food to speak. Having wine as this great social lubricant, which with a little bit of alcohol, some freshness and fragrance, it makes the food speak. The big danger with having wine and food matches is the wine dominates the food. So we want the brightness and lightness of the delicacy of the rosé and that strawberry fragrance to make the pasta just lift out in character. So there's a bit of greens there which is nice for tang. There's the doughy and the parmesan cheese for flavour, and that olive oil in there for texture. And you have some acidity to cut through it from the rosé, but not too acid and not sweet. You'll find that this pasta dish is even better when you have a glass of wine with it. There's a design fault with the humans at the moment, and you're the first to hear it, right? We should have two mouths. One to have food and the other one to have a glass of wine. Now, how are we going to eat this? Where's the fork?
With social distancing. So one of the wonderful things about the Zin House is that you can go there and you can have your, I don't know, whatever it is, 5-6 course meal with a wine flight. So once we're all out of social isolation, that's something to put on your to-do list, because the wines are all matched to the foods, and it's a great experience.
That's right. It's 200 metres up the road. It's as Nathaniel has said, we grow a majority of the food on site. There's 3 chefs there, and they vary the dishes every week, and you just get fed. So here's an example of what we're going to do now. We're going to try some local wine, organic wine from here, my Zin Headstone Rosé, with a really nice pasta dish, and the bread too, which is just yeast, a little bit of sourdough in as well. So you'll taste the acidity from the sourdough, the lactic acid. Here we are, here's the chef. Who goes first? Who's the yellow canary?
Take it away.
You reckon? I'll go first. What about this spinning it around on the knife? How do we do that?
Verdict.
Have the wine first. You've got to have the greens with it. The greens are really vital. There's a touch of pepper in those greens, which I like. And the cheese isn't too dominant. A lot of those parmesan cheese things are really smelly, but the cheese is really nice in that. I quite like it. I know it's starting to sound like something out of my kitchen rules. I haven't got a bow tie.